25. Who here feels, Thiago, I feel that I don't like carbs. I'm addicted to it. I don't have the level of liking. I only think about that when I eat my food. When I put my meals, I just think about a source of carbs. Many times I eat without thinking about the carb intake. Who here is like that? Let me see. Let me see here if you are like that. Otherwise, it's gonna be really hard to solve your problem. I'm gonna show you how to solve that, by the way. Yeah, for some reason it's not showing here to me. That's okay. Guys, check this out. Check this out. Look at this. You need to know first one thing: how my brain works and how my brain can choose correctly, control the portions of the carb. How can I deal with carb the right way? You need to first know this. Look at this. Every single time, you need to understand that there are survival reward. You seek carbs because your brain wants a reward. Normal. When you are having checking the news, you literally want a reward. You want what? You want novelty. Even if it's a tragedy, you want to check. Your excuse is saying, no, it's because I need to update of what's going on with the world. It's not because of that. Your brain wants novelty. That's why if someone comes to you and say, do you know what happens with Jennifer? You have no idea what happened with Jennifer. Guess what's going to happen with you? Yeah, tell me, what happened? Why? Novelty. Our brain loves what's novelty. Why is that, Thiago? Because novelty brings us reward. It's a type of reward that our brain has. But remember, the main thing, there are three different types of reward. I'm going to show you carbs where carbs are included. Thiago, what is that? Survival reward. Every single time that your reward is related to food, to reproduction, and to social connection, your brain will hijack more desire. Your willpower, your desire to seek will increase more than usual compared to any reward. For example, compared to buying a car. If buying a car is not related to anything like that, it's not related to your social connection. For example, if you don't want to show off to people buying a car, what's going to happen? That excitement, that desire will not be super crazy for you to buy that specific car. But if anything that you want to get is related to food, to reproduction, that's why a lot of men are, they always have problems, and the problem is always related to what? To female. To what? To reproduction. Right? Mating. Many men don't have self-control, emotional intelligence, emotional control, and they always lose because of what? Related to what? Reproduction. They cannot control their hormones. Same thing with social connection. How many of you came to a party and then you drank just to be social, to be accepted? No, everybody's drinking here. I'm going to drink as well. Guys, remember this forever. If you don't understand that, you don't learn about carb addiction. You don't learn that. You need to understand how your brain's working. Did you guys get that or not? Look at this. Food, you eat the food if it's always in an environment that you eat that food, including carbs. Let's say you are with your friends. You are eating a bread. At the same time, your friend comes to you and say, honey, you look amazing. You are glowing. You look amazing. Even if there is no relation between the time that you're eating the bread and what your friend is telling you, it doesn't matter if it's related or not. It doesn't matter. Your brain will associate that environment is creating a great experience inside of your brain. Inside, like in your subconscious mind, you are literally creating bread, carbs, and pleasure. Because you are talking with your best friend. Your best friend just said that you are looking amazing, and then at that moment you're eating a bread. That's how our brain works. It's crazy once you understand that. But remember, Thiago, I have an addiction to carbs. How do I solve that? I just understood how my brain works. And I just understood that I'm suffering to stop this addiction because I know that's one part of these three types of survival reward. Why is that hard, Thiago? Because it's part of survival, guys. Survival. Anything related to survival, your body will prioritize. That's why many of you eat always more than you should. You overeat. Why? Thiago, why am I eating more than I should? I'm supposed to eat this amount of carbs or this amount of dessert. But why do I always eat twice or more than I should? Why is that? Because you are activating this area in your brain related to the survival mode. Because our ancestors, we always struggle to have abundance of food. We always had to, it's a threat. If we have lack of food, we can die. Anything that's related to death, like that's dangerous for our system to die, our brain always want to prioritize, to get more. For example, why do you think that people who use drugs, who take drugs, they usually start most of the time because of what? Social connection. So they are part of a tribe, of a group, and people start offering them for the person not to be rejected. So, Tiago, what does it mean? It's part of the survival reward. Why is part of the survival reward? Social connection. Why is that? Because you are afraid of being rejected to your tribe, to your loved ones. You don't want to be rejected. We are social. So for you to be accepted, you do whatever it takes for you to be part of that tribe. So anybody who is taking drugs, the environment is affecting that. But imagine that your environment, you have a bunch of friends that's always affecting the way that you're eating. Who here have this challenge? Who here? Tell me here in the comments. Tiago, I have this challenge of my food is always affected by my friends, my peers, my family, my environment. It's always it's never because of me by myself. It's always because of people around me. Why is that? Survival reward, and then you struggle more. But understand this first, and then let's talk about carb addiction. I'm gonna show you what you need to do. Let me see first your comments. I want to make sure, yes, you guys are here. Shaf is here. Sandra said yes. I'm reading here, guys. I'm just behind the scenes checking my screen. Mine. What else? Hormones. Someone said ask hormones. I didn't get that. What do you mean by asking hormones? Okay, check this out. Check this out. Someone said about hormones. I didn't get that. At the moment, it's only because of myself. Tony said, okay, got it. Someone said always environment. Okay. Someone said it's because of herself only, and another person said my environment. Guys, what you need to know is first, addiction to anything, you can replace our brain. Always tend you can confuse the name addiction to habit, healthy habit. You can feel okay. Can I create a healthy addiction? The term addiction can be dangerous if you utilize that. So, but just think that's possible. You literally shift a bad addiction to a good addiction. For example, if I'm constantly every single day, I feel the necessity to work out, but I don't exaggerate, I don't go crazy. I'm having a healthy addiction. But actually, the real term is healthy habit for you to understand. But carb, what do I need to do, Thiago? When we talk about carb addiction, the first thing that you need to know, you have receptors from your mouth until your large intestine, until your intestine. The point is because those receptors, they are sensitive to sugar, to salt, to savory, everything, to bitter food. Every single time that you eat, you can stimulate more of these receptors or reduce that sensibility to those receptors. Tiago, are you saying to me that every single time that I reduce taste receptors, they're called write this down, receptors. You have in your gut, your entire gut. You eat. That's what I did with my son. For example, my son is 1 year old. For me to adapt his taste receptors to avoid him to be addicted to sugar, for example, addicted to carbs, addicted to any specific food, I always, since at the beginning, we always give to him chamomile tea. Why? Because of the taste, a little bit bitter compared to giving a banana from the beginning. So every single time that we are noticing that Luke is always seeking something that's only sweet and he's rejecting the rest of the food just because not sweet, we start increasing the amount of bitter or like teas that's easier for him to accept. And then we also go to some vegetables that he's more likely to accept. But the goal is modulating your receptors. You always can do this every single day. I'm going to show you how. Modulate these receptors. Why? Because remember, guys, remember this forever. This is the most important part of this life. Your desire to eat carbs or to eat sweets is not your desire. Is your bacteria's desire. You modulated your bacteria inside your gut in one way to give you the desire of what you seek. Tiago, hold on. Are you saying to me that the free will that I think that I have is not the way that I feel and I think that I have? So if I'm seeking right now a chocolate, it means that's actually not my desire, but like alone. Yes, that's the craziest part that most of you don't know. Because of the population that you increase, let's suppose you spent 2 years, the last 2 years, you ate without thinking about it more carbs or more sweets. The last 2 years, you increased the frequency. In the last 2 years, it means that you created a population of specific groups of bacteria. They became adapted to these carbs and these sweets in the last 2 years. Guess what? In the next weeks, every single time, they will ask you to pick more carbs and more sweet, and specific ones, by the way. Also, besides the bacteria, these taste receptors, they are completely modulated to that type and that amount of carbs and sweets that you used to have in the last that you are getting the last 2 years. Did you guys get that or not? Tiago, what does it mean? It means that the solution for you to reduce that addiction and have a great life without, okay, I'm going to have my carbs because I love carbs. Like me, I love carbs. Yesterday I had a sourdough bread. Oh, totally fine. As long as I know how to incorporate them in my meals, not daily, but meals in general, no issue at all. I don't create any gut issue if I know how to incorporate them correctly. Guys, because remember, most of you are scared of carbs. That's the biggest mistake if you are feeling that. If you have that feeling of I'm worried of carbs. Mm, Feeling scared of food is a big red flag. There is nothing to do with the food itself. It's all about how is your gut right now that are digesting and absorbing that specific food, including carbs. It's not about carbs, it's about your gut. It's not about carbs, it's about how your body is dealing with any food that you're eating. So hold on. If I want to modulate my addiction to carbs, have just like a self-control. I don't want to eat by impulse, yeah. I want to stop that. Do I just need to modulate my bacteria inside my gut, reduce that desire, and always reduce the sensitivity to sugar of my taste receptors that I have in my entire digestive tract? I have all the taste receptors. I just need to modulate them. Once I modulate them, I'm going to feel much better? Yes. That's why my program, phase one, everybody should do the whole protocol for them to modulate their taste receptors. Because of that, their cravings drop like crazy. Every single person who is doing 100% phase one, they don't have cravings anymore. They just manage much better. Did you guys get that or not? I'm going to show you how you're going to do this. The quick tip, now it's time to pay attention. I'm checking again the message. Yes, makes sense. Someone said, yes, makes sense. I'm reading here, guys. Good afternoon, Tiago and everyone. Good afternoon. He is good. Yeah, he's good afternoon as well. For some of you, it's good morning. Check this out. Solution, Tiago. Let's go to the most important part. Check the solution. Guys, first thing that you need to know. For you to modulate taste receptors, you always need to prioritize something that's a little bit bitter, more like bitter. Tiago, I want to have dessert. Drink ginger tea, fennel tea, licorice tea. Chamomile tea is fine as well. Lemon balm is amazing before the dessert. Always, always. If you are gonna have a dessert with a bunch of carbs and sugar, remember, sugar, you break down the carbs, it will become sugar, glucose. Don't confuse here. You're gonna eat a bread, it will break down, pum, 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 pum. The molecule will become what? Glucose, so sugar. So all the carbs that you're eating will transform inside the body sugar. All right? Be aware of that. These are basic stuff. But remember, before eating this, your priority number one is to consume something a little bit bitter or really bitter. That's your priority number one. Even a simple example, drinking lemon. Even lemon, that's gonna be fine as well. Different different taste as long as it's something that's the opposite, completely different than sweet taste. Every single time, guys, in the afternoon you can do this. What else, Thiago? You can utilize some specific herbs like cinnamon. Cinnamon is amazing to modulate these receptors. I'm talking about receptors. You want to modulate them here. Imagine here is your digestive tract. I'm gonna just for you guys to see. Your digestive tract is right here. The receptors are right here. Check it out. Boom. All your digestive tract, you have these receptors. Just painting this for you to understand what's going on. The food comes, and if the food comes, but there is no, you are not simulating the taste receptor sensitive to sugar, what's going to happen? You are consuming food that's really bitter. What's going to happen? You're going to reduce the sensitivity, the receptor sensitive to sugar will reduce like that. We become smaller. So the food is coming, but because you are always having something that's bitter before, it becomes smaller. Like it's becoming modulated. It's more modulated. Tiago, what does it mean? It means that you will never struggle with food anymore. You stop struggling. You're gonna have everything that used to be sweet. You eat again once after your receptors are modulated. Something that used to be sweet for you, it will become 10 times sweeter. You even cannot eat more because it's too sweet. That's how many of you had already this experience of, yeah, interesting. I used to have this in the past, used to eat the whole thing. Now I'm feeling that's so sweet that I just ate half. People start having this experience. If you're having this experience, this means that you are modulating your taste receptors. And that's good because it also means that your bacteria are getting more modulated. Did you guys get that? Another thing that you need to be aware of, if you prioritize having carbs more in your lunch, snack in the afternoon, and dinner, and always avoiding having in the morning, you are going to spend more time without having easy energy. So while you are sleeping, you are not eating any carbs, right? Let's say 7 p.m., you stop eating. 7 p.m. until 7 a.m., you spend the whole night without eating. And then you're going to have your breakfast. Your breakfast will be many foods or even like some foods, but without carbs or with really small amount of carbs. So you're extending the amount of time without having carbs. What are you doing? You are literally teaching your brain how to utilize all the sources of energy, including from fat, because you're spending more time. You are becoming flexible. And then you only have your carbs in your lunch. That's going to be amazing because once you have your lunch, you spend like 14, like at least minimum 12 hours, 14 hours without having the carbs. You are literally teaching your brain, I'm going to always eat carbs every single day. I'm eating carbs, but I will not keep giving you easy energy, easy carbs all the time, every day. I will not do this. Do your job of creating energy for me. I will not keep giving you extra energy from food. I have a lot of fat for you to utilize because fat is a storage of energy. I'm storing energy here. I have my belly that's big like crazy. It's a bunch of energy reserved here. So utilize that energy. You have a lot already. So you are teaching your brain how to become flexible. That's your priority number one. And then you are having cinnamon. One example, you are having foods that you're never forgetting salt. Because every single time you're not consuming, many of you make this mistake of not consuming enough salt because you think that's going to increase your blood pressure. I already have a video teaching that, showing a lot of papers. Many people who don't know this stuff yet, professionals, they are completely already forgetting to study the last papers. Because remember, the problem is refined salt. And if you don't have enough, you're going to have a bunch of problems, including what? High blood pressure. So you need salt. Every single time that you miss your salt, you're going to have a lot of taste issues. You're going to feel the first thing that start happening with you is eating by impulse, because you feel something, but actually it's not the truth. It's just because you didn't have enough salt, unrefined salt. That can be, it's all about unrefined. As long as unrefined, I teach this inside my program. If you consume refined, that's the problem. But unrefined is the solution. Be aware of these guys, because remember, many of you are not drinking teas to modulate your receptors. Many of you are not putting carbs at the right way throughout the day. How many of you eat some carbs without having any protein, without having fiber on it? You are literally asking to become more addicted to carbs. Carbs, a food that's amazing, that we all love, I love, you love, that we could eat every single day without no issue, without any issue, but you don't know how to eat them. You just eat whatever, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, yeah, this is available for me, and then you put in a plate. You have no clue what you're doing. That's why right now you are becoming a slave of carbs. How many of you here feel you are a slave of food, including carbs? You feel angry if you don't eat. You feel angry. Your patience goes to zero when you don't eat, especially when you don't eat carbs or sugar. No, no, give me chocolate right now. Otherwise, I'm going crazy here. I'm gonna yell. I'm gonna hit in your face if you don't give me a chocolate. Some people are so addicted because of these receptors are so addicted to the sugar, they don't know how to modulate this correctly. All right? Did you guys get that? Remember, your bacteria is directly affecting your desire to seek carbs, to seek sugar. You need to modulate this bacteria first. Remember this forever. Don't confuse this. I'm going to answer one question. I'm going to pick one. Time to ask a question, guys. I'm going to just pick one of you. I have been enjoying my food more since I started using Celtic salt. Guys, exactly. Mena. Oh, look at this. This is what happens when you consume the amount of salt that your body needs. It's like the sun. How many of you are not getting sunlight every single day because you are scared of getting skin cancer? But what's the problem? It's because if you spend the whole day on the sun, you're going to get skin cancer. But at the same time, if you spend 10, 15 minutes every single day, 10 to 15 minutes, if you are really white, in my case, I'm darker, I would need 20 to 30 minutes. 50% plus of my skin exposure to the sun for 20 minutes, in my case, I would get a great amount of vitamin D. But you're not doing this. What's going to happen? The efficiency of vitamin D with the main source called sun. Same thing with salt. You could modulate your blood pressure by taking enough salt. You could modulate your receptors, your taste, your desire to eat salty foods and sweet would be more modulated. But this is not happening with you because you are lacking, you are always forgetting to have enough salt throughout the day because you're scared of that. Because nobody's teaching you and updating you that actually, guys, salt, you have electrolytes, potassium, sodium, potassium, magnesium. You have inside the salt that you put, that you're consuming. So the electrolytes for your brain to function correctly, for you to have energy. Who here? Who here? There are many people. They don't have energy because of simple, basic mistake of forgetting to consume carb or salt, especially salt in the morning. They forget to take it. Big mistake. But the extremes as well are terrible. People who go crazy, but they go to restaurants, they have no clue which type of salt in the restaurant the people are putting. They're actually consuming a bunch of refined salt. And they are exaggerating. In this case, they're going to have a bunch of problems. Don't confuse. I'm not talking about the extremes. I'm talking about what's ideal, the ideal intake. Otherwise, you're going to keep having what? Addiction to carbs. Many of you are having addiction. Not, by the way, not only carbs, any food. Many of you are having addiction to a specific food. You are a slave. You every single time when there is a food in front of you, a specific one, you know which food I'm talking about. You see that food in front of you, you become a zombie. Like you forget. Some people, how crazy is that? Some people forget everything else. They just focus on that specific food. They become a zombie. Terrible. I'm like this. Is this normal? Remember, guys, our brain, I'm going to repeat what I said at the beginning. The survival reward, what we call survival reward, our brain, according to neuroscience, that we already know neuroscience, if the behavior that you are doing is related to the survival reward, your brain will hijack even more neuromodulators to make you go crazy and seek that reward. Why? Because it's part of your survival. Food is part of your survival. So whatever is anything that's related to food, the survival reward will be activated inside your brain. Your brain will prioritize anything that's related to reproduction. This is a part of men that men struggle. Reproduction. A man see a amazing woman, attractive woman. If the man doesn't have self-control, doesn't have emotional intelligence, the man will cheat. Why? Related to reproduction, the brain prioritizes the reward. So any of you who don't have emotional intelligence, you are not strengthening your emotional state, you always lose when the reward is related to food, reproduction, or social connection. My boss, I really want to please my boss. So my boss, I never drink, but my boss invited me to drink, and my boss drink a lot. My boss is always, he goes to the party, he gets drunk like crazy. Yeah, it's my boss and I want to please him. So because of social connection, because you want to get another position, you're gonna drink like crazy. So many people started in addiction because of one trigger. One day, that was a seed, you planted the wrong seed inside of your brain, and then you started the wrong behavior. And this behavior became what? A habit. And then now, addiction. You are addicted to that. Now, many people cannot survive without drinking. And everything started because of the issue of the what? Social connection. They were afraid of being rejected to someone in their environment. Or they were experiencing a bad thing, that having a bad experience in life at that specific moment. Someone gave them a specific food. Their brain created a connection, association between that food and comfort at that moment. That time, the person created a habit of eating that chocolate cake every single time that she was feeling sad. Buying that specific ice cream because once she was sad, her boyfriend gave her this. So the person, your brain associate. It's crazy once you understand how your brain works. You play the game the right way in your life. Otherwise, many of you lose against your brain, against your survival rewards. You always lose. You always lose. Many people lose. Tiago, how do I know? If you see your favorite food in front of you, but you're not supposed to eat that food because of the time or because you ate a bunch of things already, but the food is in front of you, and then you don't have that self-control, you eat, even knowing that you are not, that's not the best idea, actually is a bad idea, you don't have self-control. You are always losing. The food is winning every day. Same thing with reproduction. Every single time. This is more for men, by the way, because of this. Well, men's testosterone is like crazy of seeking for reproduction. So men who don't have that self-control, they always lose again as well. And people who are always having the necessity of improvement, always approval. They are seeking approval. They always want to please everybody around them. So social connection, many people, some of you here, I'm 100% sure some of you here do this. You destroy yourself to please people around you just because the fear that you have of being rejected. And then you start a specific addiction because Everything started, you always wanted to please everybody else. Why? Social connection. It's part of survival reward. The survival reward of what? Of what? Of what? Of not being part of a tribe, of not being part of a group, of being isolated. You are scared of that. Tiago, I never thought about it. Of course, you're not thinking about it because it's part of your subconscious mind. It's part of your reptilian brain, limbic system, not your consciousness. It's related to your subconsciousness. That's why you don't think about it. That's why I'm giving you here an opening. I'm giving you clarity because most of you don't think about that. Guys, you really need to understand how your brain works. All right? All good? Let me see here. Any comments? I'm checking here the comments. Make Silvana. How much Celtic sea salt? Guys, remember, half teaspoon per day. The best way to observe that. Let me see here. Yeah, half teaspoon per day. What else? I'm already. Oh, Tony said, I'm already fantasizing about the dessert I will have tomorrow after work. Guys, look at that. Look, this is interesting. This is interesting because this doesn't happen only with Tony. Guys, remember, whatever give us pleasure, anything that give us reward, including that's around food, reproduction, or social connection, anything, our crazy stuff. There is one part in our brain. I can talk about this in another life. That once you start thinking once about a reward that you want to get, 24, in this case, is tomorrow she's going to have a dessert. Once you think once, the reticular activating system, write this down. I explained this in one of the reticular activating system. It's one system inside of your brain that you start thinking about that or related to that constantly. Your brain will prioritize, Tony, now in the next hours for you to keep thinking even more about that every single time. So anybody who talk about food, you will already relate to dessert tomorrow. It's happening. It's coming. Guys, how crazy is that? Without realizing how crazy your brain works. So look at that. Without noticing, your brain, even if the reward will happen tomorrow, in 24 hours, your behavior, you feel happy, even without thinking about the reward. But just because your reticular activating system is active now to that reward, your brain, your behavior changes. How many of you start becoming happier with a trip that you're gonna do in 6 months from now? 6 months, 6 months, too far. But you are already happy. You are already happy because you know that the trip will happen in 6 months. How crazy is that? Our brain anticipates all the chemical reactions. Your mood change. You become more patient. It's crazy, right? So why not keep feeling that even without expecting any reward? The point is, people who always have a bunch of success in different areas of their lives, they create their daily rewards. They don't have this reward that's only coming later because it's dangerous. When you have a reward and then you only feel happy when you think about the reward is coming, carbs, sweet, party is coming, trip is coming, and then you only feel happy just because there is something coming, you are never in the present moment. You are always, your thoughts, your attention, everything is in the future, but the future doesn't exist. Yeah, what does it mean? It means that you are constantly living an illusion inside the bubble, inside your brain. That's how your brain works. I'm not creating this. In neuroscience, we always know that the person is always seeking rewards, seeking happiness in the future. It means that she's not living the present. That's the worst life to live. You have no idea. Many people are having carb addiction right now, and she's always seeking. For example, some people, they eat the food now, they are already thinking about the next food. So instead of enjoying the moment while eating that meal, she's already thinking what she's going to eat after. Our brain works like that. You need to know how to teach your brain the opposite. To be present and enjoy what you're doing right now. To create the reward in the present moment, not to create the reward for tomorrow. Because most people live that way. Why? Tell me, why is that? Guys, because of the survival reward. Because if the reward is going to happen only tomorrow, but is related to food, it's part of the survival. Your brain will prioritize for you to keep thinking. As long as you play the game, you say, okay, no, I need to change this. Like you first accept that you have to change. This is a dangerous behavior. Tiago, why? Because you go to the phase of addiction. Tiago, what is addiction? Is when you destroy. It becomes destructive. You don't have control anymore. It's addictive. You don't have control. If you see that specific food in front of you, you don't have control. You literally become an animal. You are an animal, but your animal will wake up and your consciousness will be quiet. The animal wake up and then you go straight away to the food. That's not only related to food, that's related to any of these three things here because your brain works like that. All right. Did you guys get that or not? But that's really interesting. You are thinking about tomorrow's dessert. What else? Okay, someone said, would you say that the cold weather can trigger food addiction? Steffi, that's a good one. Let me just get another one. Since I started. Okay. Steffi's a client, guys. Look at what she said here. Since I started the program, our program, there was no craving, but since the weather became cold, I feel a craving. Steffi, let's talk about this. That's a good one. Guys, remember that the environment affects the way that we behave, including the weather. Remember that you can feel the necessity to drink more water when you have a dried environment. Just because of that. Because you dehydrate faster, easily, especially if you are more active. So remember, once you are in cold, the weather is cold, many things will change in your body, including, for example, that why do you think that people get more depressed in weather or when it's too cold? In winter, why do you think countries that spend more time in winter, they have people who commit more suicide? They have more depressed people. Why is that? Why do you think that? One of the things that change environment, lower vitamin D because there's no enough sun exposure. People, imagine, it's really, really cold. People go out much less. So they have less exposure to the sunlight. Even if they don't see the sun, but you have the electrons from the sun, the photons from the sun, they can get, even if it's really cloudy. But it doesn't matter. They never go out when it's winter. They go less. So just because of that, they start having more inflammation, more depression. And once we are in a cold environment, depending on what you are changing your meals, Steffi, what you are doing throughout the day, your behavior changes, and because of that change of behavior, your cravings can increase. Did you guess that? So it's not directly connected, the craving and the cold direct is indirectly. It's connected indirectly. Yes. So that's why you need to pay attention. The first thing, for example, if you used to drink a tea, sometimes your priority now is to drink more the tea before having the cravings. Guys, remember your behavior. If your behavior is, I know that I tend to have more cravings at 5, 6 p.m. What are you going to do? You're going to drink teas at 4, 3 p.m. before. You literally calculate. You always put an alarm. Set an alarm. Pa, 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 pa. Drink a tea 4 p.m. at 4 p.m. Once you're doing this, you're doing what? You're modulating. You're literally modulating the receptors. All right? So the weather can affect your behaviors. Remember, guys, the weather can affect the way that we behave. And the way that we behave can increase our cravings or reduce our cravings. All right? Be aware of that. And remember, same thing, body temperature. Because, for example, if the weather is getting colder, your body temperature can reduce. Once it's reduced, your desire to eat specific foods changes as well. For example, who here wants to consume a warmer foods once it's too cold? Now we are going to physics. This is more related to quantum physics. I have a training. Steffi, by the way, you need to watch this training. I have a training inside the portal talking about the energy of the food. Energy of the food. Cold, hot, wet, and dried. And dry. If your body is really wet inside, you like eating dried foods. If your body is really dry, you are super dehydrated, you tend to seek more wet food. Your body is constantly seeking balance. So, for example, if right now it's really cold, it's getting colder, guys, you will tend to seek more warmer. And if you don't create that balance, your digestive system can change a little bit. Your bacteria, the crazy stuff, the way that your bacteria behave changes as well because of the season of the years. Imagine, why is that? Why is that? Because of circadian rhythm, the biological clock. Your bacteria are different in the morning compared to the evening. That's why you can spike your glucose more than usual, more like differently in the morning and in the evening, just because of the way that your clocks inside your organs are working. It's crazy. But did you guys get that or not? The weather can indirectly affect the way that you seek food, especially because of that temperature, that balance. All right, guys. Okay, tomorrow we are gonna talk. Let me see. Once you guys start talking, I like keep talking as well. Do you have that video or is it an upcoming video? Steffi, this video, you go to the best lives. Go to the best lives. You're gonna see the energy of the food. That's the name. The energy of the food. That's a crucial training for you to watch. Okay, the energy of the food. All right. Someone said, Fatma, is it normal to get cravings to eat random food 10 days before a period? Yeah, Fatma. Guys, write this down. Remember. All of you who are still having your period, you go to the look at that. You go to the luteal phase. Oh, look at this. Crazy stuff. I'm gonna put here luteal. Let me write down. Hold on. You need to understand this. If you don't understand this, you don't know how to deal with your body. Follicular. It's too big, but okay. And luteal. Your hormones are right here happening. Look at this. This is a chart, okay? So let's suppose right here you have your ovulation. You had your ovulation here. Can you guys see that or not? Ovulation. Before the ovulation, follicular phase. After ovulation, luteal phase. Look at that. Every single time, your hormones will change. Testosterone is low. Once you go close to ovulation, testosterone is in the peak. And then testosterone go down. All right? And then you go to your estrogen hormone. Estrogen hormone is high here. And then it drops here, and then it drops as well. And then here is your, let me put in this color, your progesterone. Progesterone is low. And then progesterone, after the ovulation, progesterone increases. And then it drops as well. So what's the point? Every single time that you have this drop of your hormones in your luteal phase, your cravings increase, guys, your insulin hormone become more resistant. So you are more likely, how crazy is that? You are more likely to spike your glucose. There's a time that you need to control even more the cravings or the sugar intake. But there's a time that you have more cravings. So you need to control the sugar, but at the same time, you are in the season of more cravings. How challenging is that? That's why many of you lose against your desires. That's why that's the time that you need to be more aware of how to adjust your food. All right? Otherwise, you will always make a bunch of mistakes in your luteal phase just because you don't have that self-awareness. So it's normal to have cravings. That was a solution, for example. Remember, the amount of protein is going to be more important for you to have every single time in all the meals while you're in your luteal phase. Because if you know that you have more desire to have sweets or your cravings are higher, your priority should be protecting that, prevent. How? Increase even more their protein intake. Never skipping the meals without having protein. Increase the amount of the fiber. Increase the amount of water. Increase the amount of teas throughout the day. In the middle of the morning, one tea. In the middle of the afternoon, another tea. Now you are protecting, you are preventing, because the luteal phase is a dangerous season. Every single month you have that challenge. That's why many women they tend to make more mistakes in this phase because they don't know how to play the game of life, guys. Because that's life. You need to learn how to play the game of life, the dance of the hormones, the waves. Your body is beautiful, but you need to know how beautiful it is. All right. Cool. All right. Last question. That's okay, guys. Tomorrow another live. I'm gonna see what I'm gonna talk about. I already, like I said, I wrote down already here everything. There is a question on YouTube here. Kirsty asks, "What are the well? The last question. Last question on YouTube. What are the best teas?" I have a video training teaching about the categories of the best teas depending on each issue that the person has, and even depending on the genetic condition that the person has, depending on the symptoms. So it's gonna be ideal. You guys watch this video. I have this video inside of my portal because there are many different type of teas for each category. It's amazing. It's you go to the best lives available. All right. And if you're not a client, you can talk to me to discuss about your issue. Cool, guys. All right. Uh, Tomorrow, same time, we're gonna do another live. Remember, learn that stuff. You're gonna stay closer to God automatically because it's impossible not to stay closer to God once you feel that there is a creator who created that creature here, and that creature is amazing. And that's the miracle of life that we need to learn every single day. This is the biggest miracle, our human body. You need to have that passion, and by having this passion, you stay connected to God, stay closer to God, because that's what matters. We are spiritual beings living in this physical world. You really need to know this. Cool. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. See you soon. See you soon, guys. See you tomorrow.